So in the last demo, we saw this synchronization problem because we're using simple plain old CLR object entities, that if we are making selections up here, they're not reflecting in the fields. If we edit a field and then tab out, then it jumps to the current object. It didn't update in the list here, but if we select the guy, then the change shows up. Now part of that is caused by the lack of support for iNotify property change, which is what we're going to remedy here. If we go to our customer object, you can see it's just a simple plain old CLR object. Anytime you're doing data binding to a complex object like this, you're going to want it to support the iNotify property change interface. To do that, I'm going to modify the customer class here. And what I did is, you can see it got a lot bigger. First off, I'm implementing the iNotify property change interface. I'm going to call this INPC for short in a lot of the course here. So the INPC interface here requires that you expose a public event called property change on your type property change event handler. Now this syntax over here, if you haven't seen it, is kind of a nice trick called the delegate trick, that if you assign an empty anonymous delegate into that event, then it's basically a no-op subscriber that's always there and can't be removed, so you no longer have to check for nulls before firing your events in C#. You can see that our properties expanded to backing member variables and individual properties with getters and setters on those member variables. Now this ID property you might treat as invariant. In this case it's a GUID, so it actually does have to be set. What you really want to be doing on every property is what the other ones are doing, which is raising the property changed event, passing a reference for the object sender of this, and then a property changed event arg that takes the name of the property that's being changed. So I should really add this property change to the ID as well, and make sure the name of the property is ID. So on any object that implements iNotify property change, the way to think about it is any of the public properties you expose that have a set block should raise property change. Now if we slide down to the bottom, we've still got our full name property that we're actually binding to in the combo box, and it's computed based off the first name and last name. It doesn't have a set block that we can put a property change event in, but we basically need the property change to fire on that whenever first name or last name changes. So a little trick for dealing with that is if we go up here to the two dependent properties, first name and last name, we can raise other property change events in their set block. First property change says, yes, in fact, the first name property changed, but it also pretends that the full name property has changed because effectively it has. So if we raise property change for full name on both the dependent properties, then the right thing will happen there. So if we go ahead and run, now we modify Puckett's last name here and tab out of the field, and we see that it immediately updates in the combo box, both there and in the drop-down list, because the object is raising the appropriate change notifications. Now our selection problem is not yet fixed. We'll have to fix that in the next demo.